All right, number 24 with Josiah Atkins of Prospect Bacon. Overall, awesome dude. Quiet, but smart and funny. And he's just a super interesting person to talk to. And I really had a great time learning from him and talking about a whole bunch of different things. We kind of went down a few rabbit holes talking about a little bit more off-topic stuff, but overall, I still think that there's some value there, and I think you guys will enjoy the conversation. So, without any more further ado, Josiah Adkins of Prospect Bacon. Yeah, I should be. All right, so recording now. Today I'm talking to Josiah Adkins, owner of Prospect Bacon, aka the man who can provide appointments and leads that are as smooth as a shaved chinchilla.
Ooh,
Um,
that was a good headline.
well, that was a good headline. It caught my eye several times, and then I don't know if it really gave me the effect that I wanted though, because I went in and I was like, what the hell is a chinchilla? And I was Googling stuff and I was like, wait a minute, I don't even understand what that's supposed to mean. But it grabbed my attention. So thanks for that.
So the next move is to buy a bunch of domains and sell like naked shaved chinchilla like Merc, like and just pixel you to death.
Well, I
It's,
mean, you don't realize that the ads I'm gonna do are I'm gonna do ones that are even better than like I'm trying to think of what's the next animal that we could do, and that's like even better than a shaved chinchilla. Our leads are as smooth as a, and we can try to one up you somehow.
dude, I have had this idea for a long time.
Real
Like,
quick, hold on. We're I can tell this. So before we get in, we can go back to the shaved chinchilla.
we should
Josiah
probably.
Prospect Bacon. For people listening that haven't heard of you, tell us a little bit about your company.
Yeah, so I run a marketing company called Prospect Bacon. We do marketing for 99% probably people in the solar biz. You've may have seen a funny, silly comment or something. Most people are taken aback by my personality in person, but it it all evens out. Um, so yeah, if you need leads online, that's what we do. Unless you want somebody who does it better, then you should talk to Kyle. So
I don't know, man. I don't think I've ever delivered leads that are as smooth as a shaved chinchilla. So, I mean, I was actually just talking to this yesterday with Rich Fiola from Solar Exclusive, and I mean, I one of my things is I recommend work with multiple people, find who works best, test different things. Number because it's ads are like a roller coaster, and there's gonna be
mhm.
months where one like you get really incredible results and then it's never like consistent as we would like, but I mean I don't think there's anyone out there that shouldn't try out multiple people.
Yeah, well,
But
I think
yeah,
I've sent
so
people to Rich and to you actually.
what was that?
I think I've at least attempted to send people to you and Rich. So
Oh yeah, well see I don't have
having
my
worked.
my business is I'm not as we're like scaling back whereas like I don't really want new people. I still talk to them like I'm like hey yeah let's see if this might be a good fit, but for the most part we're trying to be selective because of just the cash flow that comes with
Uh,
having more of a revenue sharing model. But how did you get into marketing? Because I believe I saw I think it was actually the shaved chinchilla ad. I think you were talking about kind of how you got into
yeah,
it.
I had a bit of my backstory on it. So flashback December 2018. I was a struggling, not struggling, I was making 60, 80K a year in solar, making 250, 300 bucks a kilowatt on self gens. Um, and we had an ice storm. It was cold as crap. I paid actually, I don't know if you remember James Swiderski before he ghosted, but I was actually the first person I ever played for coaching. It was like $100 a month or something like silly like that. Like to me, it was a lot of money. Um, and he kept saying like, dude, you gotta get a funnel going. You gotta get all this stuff. And so like I started learning, I started working on it, and then I was just like, I can't take time to learn. Like, I got to work with somebody like now. reached out to somebody in a Facebook group and spent, I was right around $5,000. I think by the time I finished paying them in Facebook over the next 2 months for about 3 solar leads.
Fun. That sounds like
Yeah,
that sounds like a case study of the people that we don't like, but and especially with
yeah.
like if $100 was a lot to you back then, I mean $5,000 is
It wasn't, so it was spread over like 2.5. Like I think it would have been 3 months, but I ended up canceling the contract early or whatever and had to pay cancellation fee because I had a contract and I don't know, man. I was not a great experience. So like my story of getting into marketing is almost like a Batman story. Like you have like, like something terrible happened to me, so I got to make sure nothing ever bad happens to anyone else and like avenge the death of my marketing dollars, right? Like that's kind of my
that's
story.
that's funny. I mean, yeah, it's the Batman story. Are you a comic book fan? Like, are you into the comics and those movies and all that kind of stuff?
I'm into movies. I read way too fast to enjoy comics. Like reading is almost like a superpower of mine. Like I can sit down with a pretty big book and knock it out in
How many
just a
how many
few
words per
hours.
minute do you read?
I have no clue how to measure that
Like
actually.
apps and stuff.
I
It's
should
not it's not
I
that hard,
should
but
I do one now? Do you want to do it on the
no
podcast?
worries. So that's interesting. Yeah, I kind of get the sense where you're one of the things that is apparent when you read your comments and your Facebook posts is you're obviously a very good storyteller, and that's obviously a big part of marketing. And so I was just curious as far as that goes. I saw the new Batman trailer, and I was actually pretty stoked about it.
It looked pretty cool.
Even though the vampire Twilight vampire or whatever,
I
but
was hating on Robert Pattinson for a while. I did see a new movie he was in that looked cool. I'm probably gonna watch it. The one with Tom Holland on Netflix. Like it's an old like
great. Batman and
western-ish.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, Batman and Spider-Man, but they're in like a western. Like it looked like a cool artsy indie movie, but
Hmm.
Robert Pattinson plays like a southern preacher. Like it looked like a cool role. But
Cool, man.
anyways,
So obviously you started with the solar industry. You were doing self-gen, you were working for yourself um, for 25, 30 cents a watt, which sounds like you were doing okay. But then what happened was you needed to find online leads and you went to online lead person and they dropped the ball to say the least. And then you're like, I might as well do this myself. I want to help everyone else. So they don't have to go through that. So now you run an agency that's successful. I mean, Prospect Bacon's probably one. I mean, not only is it a one of the most. I think you're one of the guys out there that everyone says good things about, and I think that says a lot, specifically in the industry that we're in, because like you encountered on your very first marketing person, there's not enough of those people around. Um, Regarding like kind of transitioning into running an agency, how did that go?
dude, that was a journey like I wasn't expecting, and like even where we are right now, like it's kind of like my vision was never to be like, oh, number one in the solar industry, like we're gonna dominate. It was like, man, I can probably do a good job at this. I can provide value. I can treat people the way I wanted to be treated, and like pay the bills for my family and probably have a nice life. Who are actually being pretty loud outside the office. So I don't know if you can hear that. But yeah, I mean that was kind of my vision. So like as we started scaling and getting more people, like it just got kind of I don't know, like I learned more about business than I ever thought I would have to, which is just kind of wild.
Yeah, I mean, I it sounds like based on like how you said you're a you're a fast reader, are you a person that's always reading and always learning anyways?
So yeah, for the most part, Um, my like personality type, like I'm either like, I don't know, there's a big thing, like I'm always a proponent like of you're either consuming or creating. Like, and I would consider reading like self-help and business style books, like you're still like creating like knowledge in your head versus like just consuming content. I mean, like, yeah, I can go watch Lord of the Rings and get something cool and maybe write a good post about it with like a good lesson, but like for the most part, like you're either like consuming entertainment or you're creating it. And so like for me, like finding a mix of like always finding time to like to learn and to read, like it helps me grow as a business owner. And like you've probably noticed, Kyle, like it's kind of like the more, I don't know, the further you get ahead in like business and life, like each thing you learn like becomes like exponentially like more valuable, like versus me reading books like when I was, I don't know, like a cashier at a grocery store, like reading a business book like really wouldn't like directly affect my income, right? But like now, like with solar or like with what we do, or like most business owners or like high ticket salespeople, like reading things like you can literally read a book and take something straight from it and like profit from it. Like it's literally one of the craziest things ever.
Yeah, it's super cool, and I think it's there, but it's also there's a lot of stuff that you read that you might not even use, but it's still good to know. And like one of the things I think when people start to kind of start on the like self-development journey, I think one of the things that I know, like you think of it almost like when you start out, you think of it like a switch, like you're gonna read and you're gonna get, then all of a sudden one day you're gonna have everything figured out. And what I've discovered is like the more I learn, I just have more questions and I'm more confused about other things. And you just have to keep going down that rabbit hole. But it is, like you said, it's, I mean, it compounds where it's kind of like it has a compound effect where once you are able to do one thing really, really well, or once you learn something, it's just going to help your business exponentially for decades, hopefully. And then we can just build our knowledge on top of that. But yeah, I think my thing is talking about like being a producer versus a consumer. Like I think about like The Office. You have the Michael Scott poster, one of my favorites. And I probably watched The Office like probably over 50 times. Like no, I mean maybe not watched it over 50 times, but I've at least had it on and had it playing like over 50 times because that's like been my show since uh, I remember I first started watching it finals of my junior year in college because I was procrastinating from actually studying. So I started watching The Office and I just binged it. And I literally watched it like probably almost every single night since then. But what I did was I realized like why am I watching this? Yeah, it gives me a little bit of joy, and I could like if I watch one episode a night, sure that's okay. But then I started reading at night, and it's just completely different. It's very hard to. Because I think if you are going to be a consumer, you want to be a consumer with something that's going to help you. And even though I will say, The Office can help you too, but it's just different. So I think
It can
more people need
sometimes.
to have that mindset about if you're being aware of, even if you are consuming, what is it that you're consuming?
Like maybe if the first Office episode you'd watched had been the one where Michael was procrastinating by watching YouTube all day, like maybe you would have stopped procrastinating.
Yeah.
So
Or
who's knows?
you can, or what's interesting is when you start watching it and you start actually realizing like some of the sales, like occasionally, like what makes Michael a good salesperson. Like the two
That is
episodes where he
true.
actually shows brilliance. Yeah, I mean, it's funny when you start looking at things with different lenses. But like I said, I watched the show probably 50 times. There's still like little things that I fall asleep just listening to it because they're like I feel like they're like my friends. That sounds really,
Ah,
really sad. I'm glad that's out there on the internet now.
it's cool, man.
But
Well,
I go to sleep.
marketers don't have friends.
What was that?
The marketers don't have friends.
Yeah, we're not allowed to have friends. But I listen to it and like there's still like occasionally I hear something I'm like, oh, that's funny. I've never realized that before. And like the big thing for me is like the way Michael mispronounces words and or like he says the wrong words and like there's still ones that I catch that I've never caught before. It's a really interesting show. But obviously like what I was kind of like this podcast, producing stuff so that other people can listen to it and digest it and spending less time watching things or binge watching Netflix shows that don't really provide any value to my life other than make my brain a little bit happy.
Yeah,
Um,
just chasing that dopamine.
yeah,
Um,
dopamine, the science
I
behind it.
think
I was because I went to college, I had all that, like, I have a bunch of physiology knowledge that I have, and it's like, I used to know like all the ways that those chemicals and everything gets released and basically useless stuff. And I wish I didn't have that. I wish I went to school for something that I actually used, but I'm glad to have stumbled into a career where sales and marketing, where you can learn as you go, and the stuff you learn is probably more valuable than most four-year degrees.
yeah, 100% none. Um, I think I don't know. The interest. I didn't finish community college. I was homeschooled. Um, very, I don't know, very interesting background. And I don't know, like I'm not like a hater of education, like by any means, but when I look, like, I mean, even like homeschooling, like I felt like I learned like a lot more efficiently than I did in public school. And then I don't know, I did a lot of my socialization through like I played some sports like with local high school teams, and I had friends at like church and like other like camps and like programs I did. And uh, I don't know, in high school, like we all just hung out on the Xbox Live anyways, right? But
How
I
old are you?
I'm 20, almost 29.
Oh man, you're younger than me. That's
Am I younger than
I
you?
just turned 30. But yeah, when you said Xbox Live, I was like, oh, huh. I was like, yeah, that is true. We did hang out on Xbox Live, which is kind of funny looking back on it. One of the things I think is I look back at like me as a student. I was an awful student.
Me
If
too.
I wish I could go back and like kick myself in the head, like, because my problem was I was always smart. Like I was always able to pick up things, but because when I was younger, like I was able to get A's without even trying. And then as I got older, I still wasn't trying. But then when I needed to try, I wasn't really able to flip that switch. And so, yeah, my education was not good. But then you look at it and like education just kind of teaches you a whole bunch of stuff that's in a way, I don't want to say useless, but a whole bunch of stuff that's not really practical for the real world. Like I wish they taught more about sales, more about business, more about like doing your taxes. Like the amount of people out there that don't really understand taxes is scary, to be honest.
Mm. I
But let's
feel like it's really set up to integrate you like into a workforce, like
exactly.
not jumping on my libertarian Ron Swanson train of thought, but I do think like the way a lot of the way it's set up like is set to fail like entrepreneurs and like creative spirits. Like I don't think it's set like in the way for me, because I mean that was my issue too. Like I always hate like saying this out loud, but like I mean like I was the same thing. Like I could get A's and B's without ever like trying, barely studying, and then by the time like we get to harder things, like I actually had to study for, like those turned into C's and B's. And then like I literally just like didn't either didn't want to put the effort in or like didn't know how to. And like it wasn't really until I got into sales or like even working for myself as a business owner that I really felt the drive to like push. And like that even like that work ethic like followed me forever, you know, like slightly above average. Like I could always be good like at everything, but like I was never the best. And like it wasn't until like I learned how to get past like my own mental roadblocks that I'd set for myself that I learned that, you know, I had drive to put in the 60, 80 hour weeks when I was starting out, that I had uh, you know, the drive. Like I don't know what happened for your business when COVID hit, Kyle, but we were pulling 80-hour weeks for probably a solid 3 weeks, just trying to get everybody pivoted and in like a healthy place, like with marketing,
Well, I
because
mean,
that was
March and
just
April, dude, was a gold mine. Like everyone was so afraid. Everyone just stopped advertising, and it was like, oh, this is not like the prices dropped. Like everyone was afraid, and then the people that were still doing it were like, dude, the prices are insane right now. And then
right.
everyone came back with a vengeance, and it kind of the summer was not a little bit higher than usual. But yeah, I mean, it was March and April was crazy. It was fun. But it was crazy and definitely busy too.
Summer was expensive. Right now it's expensive. I
Damn
actually have a
election! I can't wait.
I I have a theory. It's going to be a great Q4 because once the election's over, I don't know. You can't convince me more money is being spent on Black Friday and Christmas than on the election. Like you
Yeah, I
can't.
mean, I could see that. Oh, I, 'cause I think what people think of, they think of like the national, like Biden and Trump, and yeah, those guys are spending a lot of money. But I mean, all the local people, like all the state races, the local, like everyone's spending money, right? And so there's a lot more money right now than any other time, at least in the last 4 years, like before the last election. So I think you're right. I
Yeah.
think the price will drop pretty significantly after the election. Hopefully, the country's not in like too much of chaos at that point. But this election's looking to be a interesting one to say the least.
Free
Uh,
Riot Shield with your solar installation.
what was that? Oh, yeah.
Free Riot Shield with your solar installation.
There you go. And we'll actually make them out of solar panels, and you can, oh yeah.
Solar
Um,
panel Riot Shield.
There you go. That'd be pretty cool. So running your agency, what do you think is your favorite part, and what do you think is your least favorite part?
That is interesting. My favorite part of my agency is like watching clients win. Like that is the most addictive drug like in the whole world. Like sales feels good, like nailing a piece of creative feels really good, but like I don't know, like somebody say coming on and saying, "Hey man, like we made I made 30,000." Like I have a screenshot, like it was the home screen of my phone, but it was like, "Thanks, man. Like you changed my life. Like I made $22,000 of commission this month. Like it may not seem much to you, but I'm like 20, 21 years old, and like this changed my life." And like being able to do things like that versus like what I went through, like giving this guy a bunch of money. My twins were literally being born like the next month, so it put me in a much worse place than like if I had done that.
Hey, what's up, everybody? So this is actually unusual. I don't usually stop the interviews midstream, but what actually happened? Excuse me. What actually happened was I had my power go out, and it kind of screwed up our interview. So rather than kind of trying to splice it together, I just wanted to have this little break in the middle and let you guys know exactly what happened. And while I have you, this is a great opportunity to remind you, if you enjoy these videos, like, comment, subscribe, share, anything you can. It means the world to me, and I greatly appreciate your time. So let's get back to it. I'm gonna record again. All right. So, ironically, I just had a blackout, and so we cut Josiah off mid sentence, and I'll have to edit that together. But what we were talking about was number one. I mean, when we weren't recording, you gave some absolute gems that I don't want to make you go over again. But
Sure.
that was kind of a joke. You were talking about what you like most about the agency, and you said a bunch of different things. Mainly that obviously getting wins for your clients, and that is super rewarding. So, what's your least favorite thing about running an agency?
Oh, my least favorite thing about doing an agency is like when you have something like just doesn't work. Like it happens, man. Like it's marketing, right? It's not an exact science. It's art. Like I think the thing that sucks the most is like literally like I my personality type, like I feel like a failure. Like if I've let you down in like any way, shape, or form, which like I think holds me to like a certain amount of integrity, but I'm also like very emotionally attached to it, which is like hard for me to do. So I think we probably maybe do too much on like campaigns that like are where I feel like they're not going to be. I mean, that's like why we've scaled the way we have. Like we have like full-time like US employees on these ad accounts. I train them to run ads. Like I run ads, and I think it's I don't know, like according to a couple of people I've talked about, like we're probably a little heavier on like employee pay and stuff like that, but it's because like, hey, like I just can't like run a business that's not going to get results. Like it's just not.
Well,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
it's
I'd rather
quality,
not
right?
do it. Yep.
It's making sure that you provide, and I think that is one something that not enough people really kind of understand about marketing is you can have like something that you think is a home run, and then you run it and it just absolutely tanks. And like there's so many variables where different markets, different targeting, different people, different messaging works differently in different, like there's so many factors where
Well, dude, sometimes like the metrics are good, the leads are there and it's good, but like nothing's happening. Like,
yeah. No,
yeah,
that's actually that's one of the things when we talked before we started recording was like it's been a down couple of months, and one of the things that we found is the like pricing is still the same, but just the quality is kind of going down, and like the people that are answering the types of conversations that we're having aren't the types of conversations that we want to have. And I mean, there's a ton of factors I think that go into it, but it's always like there's no such thing as a sure thing, and that's one of the things that I think not enough people understand is there's enough reasons, there's countless reasons why things don't work, and it's just super important to kind of understand that because marketers like you and me, like we do everything in our power, and we really do feel bad when it doesn't work, but it does happen because it's just the way that the cookie crumbles sometimes.
no, it's kind of,
So
yeah,
that's a good segue actually
it
into
sucks.
one of the things that we both are motivated by is helping people to avoid just garbage scammers. And one of the biggest garbage scammers is Joseph Burke. And I know you're someone who's talked to a lot of people who dealt with Joseph Burke. But the thing is that there's other people out there that are like him. And these are people that maybe they have fake profiles, maybe they don't actually like they try to sell you through Messenger, and they promise you great results, they get a lot of money up front. What is it that you would recommend for someone who to avoid that?
Right. It's I mean like I think a good thing like to always do is like go peep all the Facebook groups. I think my 3 year old's very upset. I'm talking on the phone right now.
Oh, it's okay.
But
I did this when my 2 year old sometimes comes and goes da, 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 and on my door, and it's all good. We understand.
yeah, no, I mean like peep in the groups, asking for referrals, seeing results. I think is always a thing. But I mean like going through like the Facebook groups. I mean I've been like unsure like how to feel about the group, but I think for the most part, like it's done its job in a good way. There's like a legit like solar scammers group. Like you can just go in there and get like raw, unfiltered, whatever happens. I think we have one bad review currently in a Facebook group. Like it's our only bad review, but I think in the actual review he says we gave him all his money back. So like it's like kind of I don't know. You can take that however the way you want it. It
Well, I
seems
mean,
like
you
most
can't,
people.
like I was just talking about, I mean, you can't take it
Mm-hmm.
too seriously because there's a bunch of reasons why things don't work. And
Bunch of reasons, man.
that's
Yep.
the thing about lead gen is there's a bunch, you have to have obviously the ad campaigns correct, you have to have the messaging correct, the targeting correct, you have to have the appointment setting working, churning out, you have to have the closers. Like there's a bunch of different things that have to go right for
Mm-hmm.
campaigns to work. And I think one
Yeah.
of the things that makes you and I unique is even when it doesn't necessarily work for people, they still feel like they were done right. Like, I mean, that's kind of something that's really like I've had people that I did a campaign for a month for them, and it just didn't work the way that we had hoped. And those people have actually like referred me business just because they liked my approach and the way that I worked. And that's something that I feel like a lot of people out there don't do. And those are the type of people that you got to be worried. The type of people that have a $2,000 startup fee and $2,000 monthly retainer, and then you're committed to 3 months, and then after 2 weeks, you're like, oh well, this isn't working, and you're stuck. And so, but one of the big things too, I think, is if you're working with somebody, number one, make sure it's a real person. That's part of the great thing that I like about these podcasts is you get to see the actual people that are behind things. Let me ask you, what do you think about this conspiracy theory that I have that you really are Joseph Burke, and you're the master villain behind it all, and you did it so that you could push business your way?
Well, yeah, it's like we talked about Batman earlier. There's a villain on there known as Two-Face, and all I will say is that I can't. I mean, the rumors are absolutely true. That nobody has ever seen us both in the same room at the same time.
So not only are you Batman, but you're also Two-Face. Wow.
Well, no, Joseph Burke. Nobody's seen me and Joseph Burke in the same room at the same
Okay.
time.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think with that logic, anyone could be Joseph Burke. I mean, I guess that's kind of the thing. Um,
They are,
right
man.
now,
Yeah. And I would also go ahead and say I would like to call BS on every comment in a Facebook group where somebody wants to refer you to their marketer, but they won't say who they are in the group and want to do it through a private message. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and say thumbs down to that. Probably definitely a scam.
if they can't name drop the person, then um, yeah, that doesn't seem to be much reason for that. Uh, we're both using Facebook still, and I've made uh, I started venturing into YouTube and other channels and places. I went on TikTok for a day, and I never felt so old in my life. And what I wanted to ask you is, as of right now, like, what are you seeing as far as different markets go? Like, what markets are you really enjoying? Which markets are you seeing great success? And then what markets are the most challenging at the moment?
As far as like US markets or like marketing channels.
No, like yeah, like geographic markets within the United States.
Geographic markets in the US. I have seen Vegas turn from like pretty hard into
The absolute worst.
it's probably a toss up between what, San Diego, LA, or Vegas. I mean, we can still get in there and get people close to like $400-ish an appointment, but it just feels like
Well,
so bad
it's a
compared to
grind,
everything
and I
else.
tell I usually tell people this when I'm talking to them on the phone, when they're like, people get me on the phone and they try to like ask me questions to get like my thoughts on a bunch of different things. But one of the things I tell people is like, Vegas. The problem with Vegas is it's a big market, but there's nothing surrounding it. Like, everyone who's advertising in Vegas is advertising in that Vegas, and if you go 100 miles wide, you're not really going to get much more. And that's the difference between there and like Southern California. Is if you do San Diego, like, you can expand to Orange County, you can go up a little bit more into certain areas of LA, and
Mhm.
like there's different places around, and you can try to find a pocket. But what's happening in Vegas is everyone in Vegas is marketing to Vegas, and I think they're at this point just. I don't think there's a single person there that hasn't seen a solar ad, and those are usually the favorite markets. Is when you can get an ad in front of someone who maybe hasn't heard about how solar can actually help them before.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different type of lead. It's a different type of customer, right? Like when you're running stuff on the East Coast, like we are not. I mean, like I was trained to knock doors here in the Carolinas, so like me door knocking an educated homeowner in California, I have no idea how that would go. I'm pretty charming. I could maybe turn up my southern accent and get in the door, but I don't know, man. Like it's a different type of market. It's different types of leads. We've even started like adjusting, tweaking our landing pages a bit, like based on like where we are to try to see like, okay, these people might be a little more incredulous versus these people are like we ran. Did you run any campaigns in Georgia? Like I know it's almost full right now, but did you do anything there?
I have done Georgia, and
It was amazing, wasn't it? Wasn't it fun?
it was fun. down in the South though, it's just different. People are like, they don't want to book an appointment. They just want to like, oh yeah, well yeah, you can call me at that time. Great. Well, we'll talk then. We might, yeah. It's like they're so like
Well,
casual.
no, we're too nice, man. It's like we are taught saying no is like impolite. So we would rather completely and utterly waste your time
Yeah,
and
no, it's
demoralize you as a salesperson and human being and hurt the future income of your family than tell you no.
yeah. I actually have a client. He was on the podcast, Cody Booth, and his business I think is primarily in Southern California, and but he was telling me like they were doing like a campaign in South Carolina. I think it was South Carolina, and we tested it. And he was like, "Yeah, it's just weird. The people are like, they're all so nice, and then they say the right things, and then you can't get them back on the phone. Like they don't follow up, and they're not exactly firm on the appointment. Like they're just kind of more like friendly, casual. Like, yeah, that sounds like good a plan, and then you can't get them re-engaged. It's just different. The
Yes,
people are different in different parts of the country.
virtual is very hard here. Like you almost have to like just show up because then we're too nice to tell you to go away. Like it's very much a different like mindset or like sales philosophy versus like I had a stepdad from New Jersey, right? And like his way of living was very different than like coming up here and like he always said what he meant, even if it like probably was things like he shouldn't have said at the time. And like it's very much like we are kind of programmed to think a lot of like what other people think about us for whatever reason. And that's not everybody. I mean, you're gonna find things, but like culturally, like we're taught that as good manners here, like in the
Well, I mean,
southeast.
it's politeness, and I think people that are from California, people that are back east, like I remember that was because I moved to Utah about 2 years ago, and I remember that was like the first thing you notice is like, oh wow, everyone's so nice here, and it's just different. People are more like in a hurry and more direct, and they don't want their time to be wasted, and people are more open to conversations, but it's just different. And yeah, I've had fun with those southern states like Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. People are always super nice. I think leads seem to be kind of cheap, but definitely the percentage of leads that turn into good solid appointments or sold seems to be a
It's
little bit lower than
lower,
other
and then
places.
your shading
Yeah,
is
trees. I hate trees.
trees are the deal killer of these areas.
The
Like
worst is when you have clients that are like, "Oh yeah, man, I mean, the leads are good, but like this how like this was a great lead, and the tree is there. Can't you do something to get rid of that?" Like, unfortunately, Facebook doesn't really let us filter based on trees.
on tree shading, I tried to do some optimizing for shading on the pixel, and I like really wanted to believe Facebook could do it, but like there's just not nothing. No,
Well, I'm almost convinced. I think Facebook probably can. I just don't think they give it to us little guys. Um,
it's maybe
well,
maybe true.
because I mean, like all the conspiracy. I don't know if it's a conspiracy, but like when you're talking about something and then you look at your phone, and you see the Facebook ad, and I know a lot of that might be just because you're thinking of it,
What
and
is
then
it
it's
like reticular activation or whatever they call that? Like
yeah. And I
it's
mean,
like you
as we know, I mean, 5 years ago, you had a lot more customized, a lot more ability to target people than you do now.
yeah.
And Facebook still has all that data. They still have the capabilities,
Well,
if not, they have even
that's
more.
what I don't know. Usually, I feel like the Facebook reps are useless, but like
Yes, they are. And for some
the
reason, they always want to get on the phone with you, and it's like, no, you don't help me.
always in the summertime, there's this one key item I thought was fascinating was they said inside of custom audiences, there are over 400,000 points of data that Facebook uses to build those audiences.
That's just a big number that he throws at you.
Well, he mentioned some things like commute time,
Really interesting.
and like all other things. So I think in custom audiences, like they do some of the things that like we can't like pick for targeting, like, and that's kind of the I think beauty of custom audiences, which have honestly kind of always been more hit or miss for me, like um, at least like direct on solar, but And part of that's because, like solar is almost like middle, it's like the American dream, right? As long as you got a 650 credit score higher on your house, like you can replace your electric bill with energy. And like, I think what drives most people seems to be savings. People do go solar for different reasons. Most people can position it differently and push another thing, but I think savings, as people would have been going solar 10, 20 years ago, if it wasn't about savings and like technology making sense.
Yeah, I think that I find it funny that you say, "Oh, solar is like the American dream." That's such a marketer slash sales way to position it. But it's true. I mean, that's the way that we view it. Based on 90% of the comments that we get on our ads, I think a lot of people don't see it that way. That's just because typically they're just dumb and they don't understand it. Just kidding. Um,
Right.
uh,
My favorite is I have a top fan on all of my Prospect Bacon ads, and I see him on Bill Murphy and Rich's stuff. His name is Ron Reasoner.
Shout out
If
to
you
Ron.
Shout out to Ron Reasoner. You comment scam on every solar ad in the United States, and you usually misspell it, but that never stops you. So keep on scamming the scammers, Ron. Shout out to you.
Man, that's impressive work ethic. That's now that I've heard his name, I'll keep my eye on it. I'm sure he's on mine too.
He's a comment on my ad. I trolled him with a nice GIF.
Yeah.
So it's
So I do get the sense that you'd be the type of person that would reply to a lot of those comments. Do you typically reply? Like what type of replies would you give to somebody if they?
we do a lot of hiding. Like if it's just a straight scam or something like that, like we train clients to like I don't know. I think like for each like thing on an ad, like for each point that's like not on there, like if you want to explain the tax credit once, if you want to explain like something that shows like, hey, you're real, like I see deals like made from comments, like not every day, but like comment section is definitely a place where people are like looking and watching. And so like I mean, I've had clients step in and say like, come over here for an ass whooping, um, which is like hilarious. And do we need to edit that out, Kyle? We might need to edit that out.
What? No, we don't. You didn't say a client's name, so that one client doesn't have to worry about it.
We can say ass whooping on your
Yeah,
podcast.
I don't care. I have the little actually I'm kind of glad we say it because I think when I don't even remember how I created it, but I'm pretty sure I marked it like as explicit so that we could cuss, but I don't think we ever cuss. So I'm kind of excited now that we have. So
Oh, we're
yeah,
not cussing enough.
clients. So that's the thing, man. If you have someone that comments on your ads and they say it's spam, you should just comment back and say, "Yeah, well, come over here, we'll whoop that ass."
Yeah. No, I mean,
That
I think there's
guaranteed that's
definitely.
going to end with a sale. I'm sure. Like there's no way that they won't respond positively to that.
Well, dude, like I think the crazy thing is there probably is like somebody out there looking at the ad that would be like heck yeah, this is the most American company ever. Like I'm gonna sign up with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that number one, you can't really measure it. It's very hard. You
Oh,
like,
look at Wendy's, man. Like Wendy's Twitter account is the freaking like saltiest. All they do is burn like other companies' tweets. Uh, and like it's been a great like marketing tool for them. Like it's funny, people share it.
I've seen it. I've seen it with sports teams. I'm a hockey fan, and I forgot. I think when the Vegas Golden Knights came around, like they had a really great Twitter guy, and they basically just spent all this time roasting like all the other teams, and it was super funny because it's engaging. It's funny. It's people are going to share it, and that's kind of really the best content is something that people share, which is actually a pretty good segue to what I wanted to talk to you. One of the main things I want to talk to you about, which is memes, because I know
oh,
you're a funny guy. You make memes, and I know you've tested them with marketing as well. What has your experience been like trying to advertise with memes?
I love memes in soft markets. It doesn't really work well in like older markets. So that's basically where we've ended up. Like more educated markets, we haven't seen like memes work well. Like some of the softer markets, they work great, but there's also other things that work great. We're actually planning on testing them a little more since Facebook removed the text tool recently. I don't know if you saw it. Did you see
Yeah, I
that?
did. It's a big up. I don't think we've even I've thrown some more ads with text just to see what it like. I think it's gonna change Facebook, honestly. I think I mean, I don't know. I guess part of it is people, there's still people that don't view ads as ads. But it is possible there's going to be more, especially bigger companies that kind of treat it more like a billboard almost, where it's like 95% text and they just try that out. But I don't know. I kind of have a feeling Facebook might change their mind within some time. But who knows how that is. But yeah, with more text,
Yeah,
that means we can definitely use a lot more memes.
yeah, it's true. I mean, like that 20% text rule used to be, I mean, I used to kind of say screw it and run it anyways. And sometimes just like the engagement and the likes and the shares on it will drive the CPM down to like a reasonable cost, reasonable click through rate, that kind of stuff. But um, yeah, I mean, like it's got to engage, it's got to be the right meme, and I think a lot of times what we get caught up in, like, because it is interesting. Like, there is a thing like when I'm making memes, and I don't know if you have this on the Kyle, but there are things that our clients would like, and then there are things that our clients would like, and they're not the same things.
You don't say.
They're definitely not the same things because um, I don't know what I see being shared a lot. I think in memes are things that are like almost like derogatory to a homeowner, like shaming like a little bit, like I mean like your Batman one, that was a good one. Like
That
that
wasn't
was funny.
Batman, by the way.
That was Batman Begins, wasn't it?
Johnny Depp is not in Batman.
That's not from Batman Begins. That's
No, I
not the
don't
scene
remember. I
where
remember
Bruce
looking it
Wayne
up.
like, oh, dang it.
Here. Well, keep going. I'll look it up on my other screen over here.
You're probably right, man. I
No, I
in
know
my
I'm right.
head, in my head, that's the scene from Batman Begins, but I never looked at that closely enough to see it was Johnny Depp.
Yeah, so it's
And in my head, it's that scene from Batman Begins where like the "Why do we fall, Bruce" scene, like because it's like a dad and a little kid sitting on a bench. That's what I always thought it
yeah,
was.
apparently it's from Finding Neverland.
Oh dang. Well, I stand corrected, man. Your
I'm not
Batman
sure if
meme
that's right, but
sucks
that's what
because
it
it
is.
never existed. Um,
Yeah, I I think you are there. I mean, there's different things. You don't want to insult the people that you're talking to, right?
yep,
So I
never.
think you don't want to have a meme that says that they're dumb, or you don't want to have a meme that says they're like what was
Which
the
is
one? Like I remember I made one. I think I don't know if I even ever shared this, but I know I did. I think, and it was like Patrick from SpongeBob, and it was like without solar, and he's like a genius, or with solar he's a genius, and without solar he has like a nail in his head. And
right.
like I don't necessarily know if I would push that one out far and wide.
That's something solar companies would like and share and engage with, but like it probably wouldn't help them get more like customers, like in a way. And
But
so
yeah,
like
you don't want
that's
to
kind
insult
of
people.
like
If you do that, their instinct's gonna be to get defensive. So you have to find that right balance.
but it's
Um,
tricky because the nature of memes is very offensive for the most part. Like typically they are tearing something down to build something else up for the most part. I think most memes are like, and culturally, I think we're fine with it. Like, I don't think people are ever too offended by memes, except one time we had an ad with like the cat lady, like the screaming cat, and like we had this old guy comment on it, like, "Why do I keep seeing this GD meme following me around?
oh,
It's
hey man.
there. I open my phone, it's there. I open my Facebook, it's here." Like he just, that poor guy, like was just they probably ran over a cat or something, and it was just like haunting him. So I had
And
to
then you
do
gotta
it.
you gotta reply to his comments with the meme, but like with different text or something. That would be awful. So can you give us an example? Like, what type of meme do you think would work okay that brings up the rewards and the reasons for going solar, but doesn't necessarily go as far as insult some people?
That's a good one. I think we've used like one, not to give all the farm away or whatever, but I know there's one, like it's a template where like, like the person's like laying in their bed, like thinking random thoughts, and then the one thought like keeps them awake at night, like we've used.
Oh yeah, yeah, I've seen that one. It's a cartoon, right?
Yeah, like we've used that before, like with some pretty good results. The cat meme, like honestly does okay, like, or it did okay when it was more culturally relevant. We haven't really been running memes. I don't know if you went through this, but like about 3 months ago, we were seeing rejections and stuff like left and right. So we've been playing it a lot more safe
Well, I'm
until
pretty sure
election
Facebook
season
just
blows
like
over.
they like at the start of a new month they like roll a dice, and if it's like they like oh okay, this month we're banning everything, and because there it's crazy how like all of a sudden you just go through these things where things that have been working or things that you've even been running for months, there's like all of a sudden is oh that's not against the rules. Okay, well what rule is it not against? Nope, don't ask questions. Beep, and they like ban you even more, and it's just awful.
I don't know what it is. I mean, like for us, I mean, like a benefit of working with us, like as you know, we work with a lot of companies, so like something we learn elsewhere we can use on your campaign too. Like so we'll see instances where like it's a variation or something like same image, same copy running successfully somewhere else, and then we bring it into a certain market and Facebook just like reject it. And like I've spent thousands of dollars on this. So
Oh
like
man,
she's a cruel mistress, man. Facebook is like uh I don't know, like the same way like sailors wrote poems about the ocean, like Facebook marketers are gonna write poems about Facebook, or we're probably just gonna make memes about it because that's
wow, we need to this is a I think we just started a club. You and I are the founding members, the meme and poetry club about Facebook ads. Yeah, it's I don't think people even understand. Like I think the one of the most stressful things is when they start rejecting and or like I've had it where they ban like an entire ad account, and they banned an ad account and it was like not a single ad on that ad account was even ever rejected, and I'm like how does this make any sense whatsoever? And but then trying to explain that to clients like oh yeah we don't have any leads today but I'm working on it, Facebook's banned us. They banned us, oh my gosh, and they it's
that's always rough.
yeah, well I mean what people you gotta understand about Facebook is they just have people that are low level in their company that their job is to review ads,
Dude,
they review
I don't
complaints.
even know if the people are there anymore.
I
Like
think it's just
maybe
robots.
they just went all home from coronavirus, and then like the robots took over and won't let anybody back inside. That's my theory. And it like fits in perfectly with 2020 as a theme. Like,
Well, I mean that's like AI is on the verge of world takeover.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, it's not Skynet, it's like Facebook ad approval requests. Like that's the real.
that's
They're gonna decide like the human race is what needs to be disabled.
wow. That's pretty deep actually. If they, I mean, that's in a way that's kind of what they're going for, right? They want to keep
You're
us
the
at they
one
want to keep
making
us
the
at home.
ads.
They don't want us to go out for anything, and we can only see what the platforms tell us we can see.
Yeah, this is getting probably way too deep for this podcast, but
Dude, this podcast has been either one of the best or one of the worst. I can't tell yet. But
it's usually it's they're the same, right? Like things that are the best are so polarizing. Like there's gonna be people that
well,
don't enjoy it, but I'm a
they're
little
like,
creeped out by my Facebook thing. There's probably gonna be a Black Mirror episode about it if there hasn't already. So
where do you see um, do you see Facebook continuing? I mean, I guess the only like I think it's almost like it's almost assumed that Facebook's going to continue to kind of crack down on everything. It's just going to get harder and harder. Do you kind of see that being the case? Have you ever considered?
I I think to a point. I mean, we are like we're about to launch like a YouTube option for like current clients, and then we'll be offering it to new clients in November. Um, we've been doing some guinea pig testing with their own money and like a few clients who, yeah, if you ever need to do that, Kyle, basically like the sales pitch is like, hey, you've been getting pretty good results with this, right? Yeah. Mind if I throw $500 in the trash can for you? And maybe you'll get something out of it. Maybe you want. Sure. Um, if you ever need that.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite close actually is, we
The
might,
trash.
it's possible. Mind if we throw $500 at it? And it works once you already have that commitment. But yeah, YouTube's awesome. I like YouTube. I just, it's a lot more work, which isn't a bad thing. It's just, I mean, it's not a lot, it's
It's
just different.
it's different work, right? Like it's a lot more work to get something launched. Like it's Facebook is so nimble, and I think that's what makes it amazing. Like Facebook and door knocking are so similar, right? Because you can just launch a campaign, throw it in somewhere, use some proven creative. With YouTube, I mean, I don't, I've been torn on it because like I really haven't been wanting to use like just like a stock video to like advertise, like because it just kind of goes like, I don't know, like it just doesn't feel good, like we're gonna shoot this one ad everywhere and that's gonna be the results. Because like, I mean, people see that, people smell that. Like I think definitely tailoring things to markets like is how we've had the success we've had so far. So I don't want to do away with that.
Well, I mean, me and Rich talked about this yesterday, which I have to publish that, so I'll publish that later today, everybody. But we were talking about it yesterday in that, um, I mean, it's similar to Facebook where if it's overproduced, if it's stock photos, if it has company logo, like it looks like a commercial. And if it looks like a commercial, people are going to skip it. YouTube is kind of weird because you want people that aren't going to enjoy it, you want them to skip it because if they watch it for a certain amount of time, that's when you get charged.
Yeah.
And so it's YouTube is just a weird one because it's like a hybrid between Google and Facebook. You're able to target based on interest. You're also able to target based on kind of what people are searching. The video aspect, one of the things that we've tested is we tested just like typical, just like talking to a camera videos. I've seen ones that have worked that are a little bit more like produced, where it's like talking to a camera, but at the same time there is stock videos that are kind of interlaced with it. And then I've even tested ones that were just text, like popping up and scrolling through, or like basically just kind of, it was a bullet ad is what it was called. And those didn't work terribly. Like they didn't work great, but they worked well enough that I think if we worked on it enough, we would be able to get a profitable campaign with it. Yeah, YouTube is just it's a weird one. It's also, it's the main thing I like is that there is the higher barrier to entry where it's less competitive. You're not necessarily competing with someone else that can copy your ad in the 3 hours, and that's kind of what Facebook has gotten to recently.
Right. Yeah. And it's kind of, I mean, like for us, like we're definitely in like 40 plus markets like active right now, 40 something clients. So probably closer to 50 markets. And like, I'm not seeing like the red flags, like where we're going to lose Facebook. Like, I don't ever see that happening. Like, I don't know, as a company, I think if we can do Facebook successfully and YouTube successfully, that just makes us more like valuable to the marketplace. Like with our take, like, even being able to bulletproof campaigns. Like we've even started like, running like the cheaper lead forms, like with the higher quality leads. Cause I don't know, I've always been a big advocate of like high quality funnel leads, whatever. But I don't know. Sometimes, like if the leads are at the right price, you just get lucky with the appointments. As long as the quality is not terrible, like it's
Yeah,
there.
if I recall correctly, I posted something a while back. I forgot what it was, but it was about like low quality leads are better and change my mind or something like that. And you
Yeah,
commented and you were like, "I'll fight you."
yeah.
And,
I still will. I just see too many instances of like bad numbers in contact rate. But like there is a number at which like Because like that's all you care about is conversions to appointments,
But
right?
you
That's
have to
all
have
that
the
can be
systems to be
nice.
able to contact, like, to filter through the crap. Like if you don't have the systems and you're just going to call people a few times, and like if you're a
Right.
rep and you want
If
solid
you're gonna
leads.
give a rep 500 leads or 30 good leads, like
Yeah, it's a no brainer.
even if there's like 40 sales in the 500 leads and only like two in the 30 leads, he's never going to find those 40 leads in the 500 leads just because I don't know. People always ask me about this, like, should I hire a call center? Should we sheer call center? Should we hire people? And it's like, I think like what people don't understand, like, is it's super easy to keep up with like 100 leads a month is like 3 leads a day, right? Like 3.5 leads a day. 20 leads a week. So like 20 something leads a week, super easy to follow up with, right? Like 2025, you can do that. Where people fail, I think, is like in the follow up. Like most
Oh,
people
100%.
don't make it past the second or third attempt. And I know because I did it. Like I knocked doors, dude. Like people, like this is how bad it is. Like I was trained on the doors. Like if somebody asks you to come back and talk to them, like they're just wasting your time. Just go to the next house. Like I would have leads literally say, "Hey, my husband is going to be home at 6. Like, is there any way you could come back?" And I would be like, "I actually have an appointment here. Here's my number. Like, leave the ball completely in their court." Like that's how I was trained to sell because there's low hanging fruit, and like low hanging fruit, like in a way you can see that as like the best use of your time. Like is it faster to pick all the apples off of one tree or like to like run around and pick like all the low apples? Like you'll probably get all the low hanging fruit. Like you'll get more.
Yeah.
But like what happens, like what happens when all the low hanging fruit's been grabbed? Like what
Then you
happens?
have sales reps walking around like, what do I do?
What do we
Um,
do? Everybody's already heard about solar. What do I do?
yeah.
You know, I'm in Phoenix. 7% of homeowners already have solar on their house.
Yeah.
So
And
like it's never going to be a question of like, is solar real? It's like, why should I go with your company? And then it's not low hanging fruit. It's salesmanship.
yeah, I think some people look for fruit that's like hanging so low it's like on the ground. But it's the biggest thing I think is, like you mentioned, 100 leads a month is easy to manage. But when you say that, what some people don't think about is, in order for us to get the most amount of deals from that, we need to make sure that we call them when they're hot, but then we also have to continue to follow up with them consistently when they're cold. And
Yeah.
then the cold leads is that it piles up, and that's where people kind of let money and opportunities fall through the cracks just because they don't have those systems, which is, I mean, that's probably the biggest thing I think anyone can do is have follow-up systems. Like I love Go High Level. I know you use, or you have at least experimented with Go High Level. What is your philosophy when it comes to providing, or what software would you recommend for your clients to use as far as like nurturing and dealing with online leads?
Use Solar Boom because I don't want to set up high level for you, but we do set up high level for all of our clients. But Kyle's
Solar
is
Boom.
pretty
Hey,
good.
look at that. Free shout out. I didn't, that wasn't planned. I think it's, yeah, I mean, we provide our clients with automations. The problem is that um, you have to have systems that are customized for you and your team, right? How many people do you have that can call? Who's the people that are calling? Are they the sales reps? Are they not the sales reps? You have short form leads, you have long form leads, like all these kind of things come into play when you're really kind of mapping out what your ideal process would be like. But the cool thing about a software like Solar Room is that you can't Solar Room slash high level. It's Go High Level. I don't claim that I created this software because that would be kind of silly. Um,
They'll
but
string you up and burn you.
what is that?
So people will string you up and burn you at the stake if you
Well, I
don't
mean,
make that
people act
disclaimer.
like white labeling is like this, like strange, like, oh yeah, oh that's just high level, go high level. I'm like, oh yeah, it is. I don't know. I don't try to hide it. I think it's gotten to a point where when softwares are that popular, it's kind of, it would be silly to try to hide it. But the reason that high level is so great is because you are able to kind of customize it, you can manage your workflow, you can schedule things, and then that's going to enable you to easily keep up with those leads as they come in. And because even if you're doing high quality leads, or long form leads that are a higher quality, even if you're doing those, I mean, they still pile up. It's the same exact thing. Eventually, you're going to have a lot of leads that are cold that you're not really following up with like you should, and you want to make sure that, yeah, you give yourself the opportunity to do that. Awesome, man. Well, we talked about a lot. Like I said, this is probably the best and or worst podcast ever, but I think it was a lot of fun. Thank you so much. If anyone wanted to reach out to you, talk to you, I know you love phone calls where people just ask you questions. I guess you have your own sales team now, so you don't have to give information, but if anyone wanted to reach out to you, what would be the best way they could do that?
Well, usually I just send people to the website, prospectbacon.com, but always feel free to reach out to me on Messenger or something like that. I'm pretty accessible on Facebook. And if you find me on Instagram, like I really don't have any friends over there. So like I'll probably reply to you pretty fast. So
They're not friends, they're called followers.
followers. See, that's the thing. Yeah, I'm old, man.
That's it, man. Hey, so everyone who's watching this, go follow Josiah on Instagram. What's your handle?
I think it's Josiah D. Atkins, I believe.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, find us on prospectbacon.com. Find us on Facebook, or just wait for my ad to show up and book a call.
Yep, the ad that's as smooth as a shaved chinchilla. I'm excited, man. I've told people this many times. I've said I always love seeing your ads, and that's goes back to what we were just touched on about we don't really want ads to look like ads, and that's kind of why I find yours so engaging, and it obviously catches people's eyes, and even if they're not signing up with you, they still are left with a positive impression about your company, and I think that's awesome. So once again, thank you for your time. We'll do it again sometime, and I want to be, for the record, I want to put this out there. I tried to get Josiah here to be my guest, like on episode like 2 or something, and we've been kind of having him back and forth because we're both busy guys. But I appreciate that we were finally able to make this happen.
Made it happen, man. There it is.
All right, everybody. So signing off, remember you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, and Josiah and Kyle.
And now,
and,
yeah.
yeah. All right, everybody.
End quote.
I'm going to stop